Hey, Dirty Fam, it's your girl, Tanea Marcia Silhouette. So I wanted to hop on here real quick just to share a little story time about something that happened today. I had went to Walgreens to run some errands, and while I was there, a very nice gentleman approached me trying to get my number. And I'm saying this with humility. I'm not saying like I'm the best looking thing in the world, but it happens a lot because I'm physically fit. I'm pleasing to the eyes for some people, some segment of the population. So this is not new to me, is what I'm saying. And so he approached me, he tried to get my number, and I said, no, thank you. And then he asked me, do I have a man? And I said, I do. And he said, okay. And then he was like, so I assume that means you can't have friends. And I said, no, I can't. Now, do I have male friends? I'm telling you guys this. Do I have male friends? I do have male friends. But the male friends that I have are friends from way back. Most of them, if not all of them, are happily married in long-term relationships. I know their spouses. I don't speak to them on a daily basis. They don't live anywhere near me. And they've been with me throughout my journey. They know me through the ups and the downs, the good and the bad, whatever. I don't need new friends. I don't need new male friends. I really don't need any new friends except for anybody I meet, within the kingdom of God, within the church that I'm ministering to, or we are growing together and it happens organically through the church or whatever. I'm just not, whatever. Not going out like looking for new friends. So I don't need new friends, especially people that I have just encountered who are asking me for my number. So I told him, no, I'm not open to having new friends. And y'all know when they really say that, that's just another way for them to get your number, okay? So let's not act like it's not. And so then, he continued, and I'm standing at a countertop waiting for the person at Walgreens to help me because I had to go pick up some photos. And so I'm stationary. I had my headphones on, but there was nothing playing. And so he continues to speak to me and just say, what did he ask me? I'm trying to figure out how he worded it. He said, God. He said, what if I gave you $300? Would you give me your number? I can Cash App it to you right now. And I said, no. And he was like, no. And I said, no. And then I told him, I said, that would be a red flag for you too, if I said yes. So don't do that. And he said, so if I gave my number to someone, if I Cash App $300 to someone for them to give me their number, that's not a good idea. I said, come on now. I said, really? I said, you would have to question the type of woman you're dealing with if they are willing to give you their number only because you Cash App them $300. So then he was like, oh, okay. And he was like, I like how you are, whatever. And, gave me some compliments, whatever. But I wasn't checking for that. I wasn't checking for the compliments. I was just being friendly, but trying to still with boundaries, dude, and then he's like, are you older? I said, I'm probably older than you. So, and then he asked me if I had children, all this stuff. I said, listen, I'm being respectful because now you doing a lot. But I didn't want to be rude to him. But at the same time, sometimes people gather information to try to break you down. And some people are just curious, And now, me wanting to be naive, I would want to answer the questions, and because it seems like an innocent conversation. No, what's the point? The point is, at the end of the day, you're still not going to get my number. And so then he asked me for my social media. I said no. And then he said, oh, you can't give that out too? No. And then he said, your man is a very lucky man. And I said, yes, he is. So then he wanted to know how long we were together. I said, once again, being nice, still being kind, you don't need to know all of that, because at the end of the day, it does not matter. You're still not going to accomplish your mission. What am I telling y'all with this whole story is this. I build my platform right now based on what not to do. I have come a long way from the old me. I am 40 years old. And if y'all know my story, y'all been on my page, y'all know I have been through it all. I've done modeling, urban modeling. I've done the military. I've done, fitness coaching for over 20 years. And I had an alcohol problem because I was, taken advantage of in the military, and I became an alcoholic for 10 years. And then I went and got behind the wheel and I hit somebody, they passed away, I went to prison, and I came back. Throughout that whole time, I've done messed up relationships, contributed to messing up other people's relationships, been the naive girlfriend that thinks, oh, it's just a friend, what's the harm? I've been on all sides of relationships, okay? Now that I'm 40 and I am the older woman who is supposed to teach the younger woman, I am telling y'all, you don't need new friends. You don't need to give all your information to these men who are maybe a nice guy, but he's not your man. He's not your man. You have a man already. He's not your man. So me being an entrepreneur and a fitness trainer, I could have used that opportunity to try to sell him fitness coaching, but I didn't, because that would develop into a one-on-one personal relationship. I have a personal relationship with my clients. You talk to them on a day-to-day basis when they check in and stuff like that. That would not be acceptable, because the way that we met, he had a mission. His mission was to get my number to try to develop some type of relationship with me, like romantic, sexual, whatever. I'm not interested. I have a man. I'm a Christian woman of God. I'm faithful. I'm celibate. So you need to make sure that you honor God and your partner, I'm saying partner because we're not married, but your significant other, whether they're standing in front of you or whether they're not standing in front of you. My man was not present during this encounter, but he might as well have been, because you know who was? I was, and most importantly, Jesus was. Is what you're saying, how you're saying it, you're doing extra, feminine body language, batting your eyes, all this stuff, flirting and whatever. Is what you're saying and what you're doing and how you're doing it and how you're saying it glorifying God, and is it honoring your relationship? Or are you giving that person an in to where they could break you down, so that by the end of the conversation, you do end up exchanging some type of contact information, which you think is innocent, and then at the end, you realize, I don't know how I ended up in this man's bed. You know how. When you let him pass that boundary. I kept this gentleman at a boundary. I was not rude to him. I don't believe, this is me, I know some men will disagree with me, and maybe some women too, but I don't think that it is appropriate or kind to just ignore somebody who's giving me a compliment. I don't think that it is kind to just ignore someone who asks a simple question. But I do think that you can still be kind to someone and show that there are nice women out there that don't have attitudes, but also not disrespect your relationship. So you, as a feminine woman of God, need to understand that you can communicate with someone, keep it short, keep it concise, keep it to the point, without giving up all of your personal information to the person, without entertaining them, without going into flirting and engaging in a long-winded conversation that ends up being like you all up in the guy's face. But at the same time, remember what's most important. It's not that person's emotions, and it's not your emotions. It's not your ego that you're trying to get stroked. It is honoring God and honoring your relationship, whether or not you're married, because if you're not married, which I'm not married yet, but I want to be, I need to act like a wife. Okay? And so we ended the conversation, like I said, because I was keeping it short and to the point, and I actually ended the conversation by saying, it was nice meeting you. Thank you for the compliments. I hope you have a good day. And he took that cue. And then when I said that, the guy behind the counter, he was ringing up my stuff, and he was actually ready for me to type in my phone number for the rewards because I was at Walgreens. And he kind of paused. The guy paused because the screen was right there. And I just looked at him like, go on, because I'm not about to type my number in here so you can see my number. So being aware of your surroundings, practically, but also spiritually and in the natural. And I say spiritually because the enemy knows where you're weak, right? So don't get tempted. Oh, I wasn't trying to cheat, but it's nice to get a compliment because maybe my man doesn't compliment me as much as I want him to, or I'm just an insecure person, or whatever it is. It's easy to fall into that trap. Don't do it. You need to be confident in who you are. Know who you are in Christ. Know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. The only compliments that I love are from three men in my life, which is Jesus, my son, and my significant other, who's a man, right? So, man, when he tells me how beautiful I am, oh yeah, that makes my day. If another man says something nice to me, I do appreciate it. I genuinely do. Because listen, I'm 40. And like I said, I'm not, the most beautiful woman in the world. Everybody has their own standards. So anytime someone sees me and they do think I'm beautiful, it's nice to hear it. It is, but I don't look for it. And it doesn't make my day because I don't know the person and I don't know your motives. But if it's genuine, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for the compliment. I always say thank you because you don't have to come out of your face and say that, but you do. So I do appreciate that, especially because I am a fitness coach. So looking good is kind of my marketing, kind of my job, So, but don't let it get to your head or to your emotions to where it's now you're looking for that. You should be looking for that from God. And then when your spouse or your boyfriend tells it to you too, that's great, because I want my man to want me. I want him to think I'm beautiful. So I just hope that you ladies understand. Don't let these people, like my old chaplain used to say, trick you off these streets, okay? Because a compliment is just that, a compliment. Somebody asking you for your number is just that. It's not the end all be all of everything. Don't entertain people who are not supposed to be in your life just to stroke your ego, just to make yourself feel good, and then try to act like you're the innocent damsel in distress. Oh, I don't know how I ended up this way. You ended up that way because you allowed people to try you that way. You allowed them into your bed. You allowed them into your life. You allowed them into your phone. You allowed them into your body. For what? Stay focused. 1 Corinthians 10:31, whether then you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. And one of those things is honoring God in how you conduct yourself. And yes, my boyfriend right now, he's not my husband, but I still give him the benefits of respecting him like he is my husband, because I want him to be my husband. So I'm not going to do anything that's going to disrespect him, whether he's present or he's not present. Same standard across the board. When you know better, you do better. And I am now doing better. So that's just my social fitness pillar number 5 of 7 little thing today. And that would fall under pillar number 5.4, which is dirty influence. All right, who you surround yourself with and who you choose to allow to be around you. And then it would also fall under pillar number 2 of 7, which is mental fitness, particularly the area of focus that covers actions. So that would be pillar number 2.3, which is your actions, how you conduct yourself as a woman of God. So I hope you guys are educated on that, and just a little tidbit for y'all, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace.